Alrighty, so we just added some working lava to the game. So now, when we step on this, we take damage, but the problem is, when we get to 0 HP, nothing really happens. So we need to add code to the player to respawn them when they die. So we're going to have to click on our player, and we're going to have to find, well, that was the player's animator. We need to click on the player. Should probably have done that through the hierarchy. We need to click on the player, and we need to add some stuff to their player controller. So I'm going to go to player, I'm going to open up their player controller code, and we're going to add some things. Let's add a vector3 to our public variables that other things can change. Let's add a vector. Let's add a public vector3. Now, a vector3, if you remember from the first lesson, is an x, a y, and a z coordinate. This vector3 is going to be the spawn position. This is where we're going to respawn. It's going to be called spawn position. When the game starts, we'll set the spawn position will equal the transform dot position. Okay, cool. So that's great. When the game starts, it sets our spawn position to transform dot position. We'll do one more thing. In update, we'll say if health is less than 1, then we will set our transform dot position will equal our spawn position. So if our health is less than 1, then we'll respawn. We're going to edit this in a second, so you don't have to write this down quite yet. Let's just see this work. So if health is less than 1, then go to the spawn position. Let's see what that looks like in game. So I press play, and I walk over, and when we die, we should respawn. Let's see if there's any errors with that. So I touch this, and there's a little bit of lag when I first touch it, which is probably visible. Okay, well, I died, and I respawned back at spawn, but there's a problem. I can't move now. Why am I stuck? My health bar is still red. Oh. When we die, our health is still 0, and now every single frame of the game, what happens first is update. It checks our health is still less than 0, so we get set back to spawn. So every frame, our position is being set to spawn. Well, that's not ideal. Let's edit this code a little bit. Let's change how we're checking for when we die. Let's create some new functions for the first time. So after this curly brace and start, I'm going to create a new public void. Actually, let's just do private void. Let's just write void. Let's do a new void check check health. So we'll have a function called check health. Then we'll put 2 curly braces. No, I'm sorry. Then we'll put two parentheses after the words check health. Then we'll put 2 curly braces. And my AI is doing weird stuff to me again. And that'll be it. So check health. Check health is going to be a function that runs and checks our health. So in update, we will check health every frame. We're going to check our health every frame. Okay, but check health doesn't do anything yet. We're going to make another function. This is what check health is going to do. It's going to run. It's going to decide when we should run the void respawn function. Respawn. So the void respawn function. So this function is going to run. Give me 1 second. So we're going to run the void respawn function. So the respawn function, so we'll check health. Let's do that. Let's check health. So when we check our health, we'll say if our health is less than or equal to 0, that's how we write less than or equal to, then what do? We will respawn. And when we respawn, we need to do 2 things. Before, we were just setting our position back to spawn. We're going to set our health back to max health. And we're going to set our transformed position back to spawn. This should work beautifully. So again, in update, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to check our health. When we check our health, if our health is less than or equal to 0, we'll respawn. So this check health is a new function that's running once per frame. This respawn function runs only if our health, anytime our health is less than 0, it'll run this respawn code. And anything that should happen on respawn, maybe later you make, maybe your items fall down before you move, maybe you drop something, maybe you get a debuff, whatever happens when you respawn, we'll put those effects in here, inside of this respawn function. Okay, that's beautiful. Let's try it. And then we'll do one more cool thing. We'll create a new collectible, which will set spawn points. So we'll be able to set our spawn point to different locations. So let's stand on this. And when I die, I respawn. That's beautiful. Okay. Looks great. Yep, that's fantastic. Okay, let's create a new collectible that will set our spawn position. So I'm going to go to my prefabs. And actually, I haven't created a prefab for this yet. Oh, I did. I created a spawn position earlier. Okay, don't look at that. We're deleting that. Let's go to prefab. Let's go to our web store downloads. And you could use any object you want, but I'm going to use a star as my spawn point. My star is blue because I clicked here and I made it blue. So this star will be my spawn point. Let's do the same thing we did before. Let's set the start size to 0.3, 0.3, 0.3. Let's set the end size to like 0.5, 0.5, 0.5. Okay. So now we have this star. Let's give it a respawn script. So let's go to our collectible scripts. Oh, we don't have a respawn script. It should be easy. I'm going to copy score collectible. And we're just going to change. We're going to get rid of that. We're going to name it spawn point. And we will say, if it's the player, then set the player dot spawn point, spawn position, will be equal to transform dot position. Transform dot position means the position of this object, and then this object will not set active false. We'll say set active true. That means it'll still be here. It won't disappear. So the spawn point will be permanent. That looks great. Now we just have to rename the script. So I'm going to right click the script. I'm going to hit rename and we'll name it spawn point. And we will drag this spawn point onto that star over there. And now I believe we have a working spawn point. So let's just test this. I'm going to run through it on the way to the lava. And when I die, I should respawn on a spawn point, which will be awesome. So I'm going to go touch that blue star. And it didn't look like anything happened, but now when I die, I think I'll respawn. Oh, no, it didn't work. Let's see why. So the star has a spawn point script. The spawn point script checks if we're a player. Player.spawn position. It might not be a trigger. Yeah, it doesn't have a hitbox. Okay, so we made a mistake. I made a mistake. I never gave this a collider. It can't touch my player. I needed to add component, mesh collider, convex is trigger. Now my player can actually touch that star. So now some code will run when we touch it. Let's try that. So now we touch the star. It doesn't look like anything happened. But now when I die, I respawn back on top of that star. That is great. Okay, cool. So I die and I respawn back on that star. Cool, we could make many spawn points by making that spawn point into a prefab. Let's do that. Let's go to prefabs. I'm going to rename this from star. I'll call it spawn point. And I will make an original prefab. And now I can drag these spawn points all over my map. So maybe I'll put a spawn point for, maybe I'm climbing this mountain. And I put a spawn point over there. Maybe there's a spawn point for this forest area. Maybe there's a spawn point for, maybe I put a desert over there and that's the entrance. I'll put a spawn point at the entrance. Whatever we do, now there's some spawn points all over. We'll do one more thing. Let's clean up. Let's make sure everything's organized. So I added some stuff. I already moved some things around, but we're going to create a new level design section. We'll add an empty spawn points, and we will drag those spawn points into the spawn point position. Okay, that looks great. I have my spawn points. I can respawn. I can do all kinds of stuff. That looks awesome. I'm going to save that. I'm going to Control S to save my game, and that will be that video on respawning, spawn points, and yeah, hopefully that works for everybody.